So, dear Yari, hello and welcome on the show. I'm very happy that I have you tonight online, that we can have this talk. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, hello, Nikolai. Very, very nice to be here. I'm honored, and it's really nice to be chatting with you again.
Yeah, I am very thankful to you that you agreed to have this talk with me for the Bulgarian audience of my YouTube channel. And I think you're a very special person, and I'm honored that I have the possibility to know you. And we had in the past many interesting talks, and I was thinking of having talk with you for my YouTube community and to talk about many topics, some kind of overview about all the interesting topics we were speaking the last years together. But first, may I ask you that you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, that's gonna be easier one than than the rest. Uh, my name is Jari Kuosma. I'm originally born in Finland back in 1969, so I'm 56 years old. And um, what could I then tell more about myself to introduce myself? I have done basically, my life career has been being a self-made man. I'm a skydiver and inventor, designer, entrepreneur, teacher. I've been teaching thousands of skydivers how to skydive and from level zero to the highest level. And yeah, now last years I have been basically just made a really big lifestyle choice, different things than past because I've been skydiving 30 years and extremely actively 25. And then I just wanted to change the focus completely to myself and to my other interest, which I have huge amounts. And yeah, here I am wondering about the world and of course, uh, living my own life here in Sweden.
Yeah, thank you very much for this introduction. Um, when we spoke about your skydiving career, we had many interesting discussions about how you started a totally new, a new trend of skydiving with your special designs, bird skydiving suits, and your trainer career. Many interesting things, and I think later in our discussion I will have some specific questions to you about this. I'm sure our audience will be very interested to hear some details. But I would like to give you an open question and be free to answer it how in the way you would like to answer it. My question is, Yari, after all your studying, what do you think is going on this planet or in this matrix?
Yeah, let's start with the easy one, right? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? I think that we are in the moment where lots of cycles are ending and starting the new ones as far as the cycles relating to the human psychology and our aspects here. So we have been living in the La La Land basically, and we are living in the La La Land in the way, or some people call it matrix, some people call it simulation. It's basically a world which has been built on all kinds of fakery and lies and stories and belief systems and dogmas and then of course chance and historical happenings and so on. And everybody thinks they are sane, but actually very few are even close to sane. And yeah, that's the situation right now. And then, of course, that old empire and the world order, basically, that we have been living under, although it has been changing, there's been this and that. But I think that old world order and old paradigm, they are coming to the end. And with that, I mean that when the paradigm changes, it means that there is everything changes, you know, the science and the belief systems and the values and these kind of things. And it, it it also must go probably through all kinds of mass havoc, you know. So there is that, you know, birthing pains and so on. So I guess there is my nutshell review of where we are now.
Okay, thank you. Let's go in one rabbit hole. You are somebody. So let's just start with this. So I think one of the answers I can get if I ask for example somebody who have studied who have some scientific background. When I ask somebody, I think, and I ask, what do you think is going on this planet? I think many people will say, no, so maybe about 13 billion years ago, there was a big bang. So, and somehow, without God creation's hand or help, there was created this materialistic world, and now we are here on one planet, surrounding one burning star, the sun, expanding through space and time without clear position, without clear direction. And we are now the product of the evolution of some animals in, you know, in this whole evolutionary system. And now we are just here living on this planet that we now have started to destroy, and we have some political systems, but basically this is the normal the normal story, or what the most of the people will tell you if you ask them what actually is going on. So the short story of the creation of the world, like the scientist people explain it to us in the schools and so on. But what happened if somebody like you who was skydiving for so long time, and you are seeing like not many people you know, in the world, you're seeing the shape of the earth from very high altitude, and you came to another observation, right? That maybe there is something different in the way you see the world from above as the way they told us in the schools. Do you want to speak about this?
Sure, yeah, why not? Because that's the part of the survival skills, is to be able to hold different kind of questions and belief systems. And when you are up to a survival, because skydiving and flying are very much about that, you need to have certain specifics there which don't change and so on. And for example, me designing my jump or flight or any kind of product that flies and to be in that world, it requires that the Earth doesn't move anywhere and it's flat and stationary. So that's the you have to have that assumption, you know, when you start thinking about all these kind of things. Now, of course, we are living in another reality with the heliocentrism, and that's a mathematical reality. And many people say that the mathematics is the real language of the world, and in the way it is, because people believe in that and so on. But you can make mathematical construct out of anything. But yeah, that's a mathematical system, and it has been working pretty well so far. But all the real life things, you know, must be made. For example, when they plan the war or flight missions, you know, they always have to plan these kind of projectiles, you know, and shooting and missiles, you know, on the flat and stationary Earth, never on the spinning ball.
Yeah, this is something that I also try to explain in my video about that I did about the shape of the Earth. That I think it's not round, it's not a globe, and like you said, stationary, non-rotating, flat object. And my example was like this: if you have a helicopter and you are staying just vertically above one specific place with the helicopter, so the helicopter is stationary to this place. If the Earth was moving or rotating from the helicopter, because you're not connected actually to the world, you have to see how under the helicopter, the whole Earth is moving, right? Like the same, you cannot land with a airplane on moving globe that is moving with like 90,000 kilometers per hour, right?
Hmm.
And the thing is, once somebody starts digging in these rabbit holes, so that you start have doubts if the shape of the Earth is that what they told us in the schools and so on, then I think the whole feeling of where we are living, also like physically, but we know actually it's some kind of um, consciousness software hardware game, like some kind of matrix that we are living in. But once you start realizing we're not living in that place that they told us since we start going to school, I think the whole feeling of what is going on this planet starts to change. What do you think about it?
Yeah, for sure. I think that there are many books about this too, and if you really go digging into the history, I've been always lover of history since I learned how to read. These same kind of patterns they repeat, and when the epoch changes or the paradigm or this we could call it reset as well. Now that's the modern word for that. Uh, it means that existing institutions, and the systems that they were built on, they also break or dissolve or are changed or occupied or just die out or whatever. But that means that there will be new ideas, and of course, this shape of the place where we live, in the various different cultures, there are so many different kind of explanations for that. That we were riding on the elephants and turtles, but obviously they were symbolic things, but it was always on the kind of flat plane. But then now, since we are talking about the physicality of the things and simulation, things start to get really interesting. So what the shapes really are and so on. And so a lot of times, they present that flat Earth map like that's the real thing, but I think that's as far away from real as you know this whole question, because so they are representations. But then where we really are and what's really going on, and of course then there is all these UFO phenomena, and I've seen them multiple times and so on. So I know that there is more, and there is more life, and there is more intelligent life out there, and what's going on with that. So I think that's the interesting part, because non-spinning ball reality makes it possible for visitors, come from very, very nearby, even continents, just a few days sailing distance, because our little world is actually really limited, when you think about that. So somebody might visit us not so from so far away. And if they have just a little bit more advanced technology, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think, and seeing the world in with the eyes of a stationary, not rotating place or shape or your ground changed everything, because I think we are. I can speak for myself, but before I realized that the Earth is not a globe and it's not moving around, it's not circling around. Uh, Before that, I was having this feeling that everything is discovered, what can be discovered. We have these globes in the school, so you know every continent that was there on this plane was discovered. You can buy a ticket to every country in the world you want, and okay, not to the South Pole, but mostly to the many places. And there was always this feeling of, okay, we know that now this planet, let's start discover another stars or another planets. Let's go to Mars. It was the feeling of everything that can be discovered here on this planet actually is already discovered. And now you start to realizing, no, they lied to you. There is much more to discover. And actually, we really do not know with sureness or with some degree of sureness where we are living, in what kind of construction, or what kind of relationship to other civilization we are living. So actually there is this new starting point of, we actually really don't know what's going on here.
No, we don't know at all. At least I don't. And that's a wonderful feeling to be able to live, in the uncertainty, but and that's a requirement. And yeah, but that's true. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't known for a very, very long time, where I am and what year it is, because we really don't even know what year it is. That's the fact.
And the strange thing is, or it's actually not strange, but it is some kind of freedom coming with this thought that, there is much more to discover. There is much more magic. There is much more land. There is much more, there is much more to understand in what kind of machinery, on what kind of living space we are living. That is much bigger, much complicated than we was thinking. And at the same time, to understand there are forces, or there's governments, agendas not wanting you to know the real shape of the earth, or to start investigating what is going on actually. And I think in my way of discovering this, it starts on a very high degree with the channeled material, the raw material. You start to understand, okay, everything they was telling you in the school about the reality, actually to the very high degree is not the truth. And you don't know where you are, but in the same time, it's open new doors and spaces for much more new thoughts and things that can happen, possibilities.
Yeah, look, we have to just accept the fact that we have been farmed here, and that education systems everywhere since at least, I would say, mid 19th century, when things started to change really, and education became indoctrination, and it gradually changed completely. So it creates this utopia, and yeah, when you are in utopia, you are living inside a kind of story, changing, conflicting story, but reality is missing completely. Would you
Yeah.
think so?
Yeah, Yari, I want to ask you about something. So you are living your life now with a lot of understandings that the things are different than the most people thinks, as the most people thinks they are. And I think we both agree that there is a huge changes now coming to planet Earth, energetically, politically, in every thinkable sense. Um, what are you what are you expecting, right? What are you experiencing right now? On the spiritual, on the energetic level, how do you feel these changes, or do you have maybe also recommendation to the people who are listening to us? Maybe some tips, what do you find out, what is working good from you, so that people maybe can hear some of your tricks, how you are working and living through this huge time of changes on also realizations.
Sure. Well, first of all, this what I'm feeling, I could tell you that the I did call out the fall of the Russia about 4 years beforehand, made a speech about that too, and so on. And I've been expecting these times what are happening now as well. So you kind of feel the quickening or the time going faster, and obviously that probably comes from all kinds of also. I don't even consume mainstream media, but uh, the news cycles are so short and there is so much things happening. And of course, this technological revolution, which is ongoing. And now, of course, with the introduction of AI, which I believe has been out there a long time. But anyway, now it's been introduced to society at large, and that's going to be a super game changer, of course. So, so everything is already happening. Um, we are in effect in the middle of World War as well. I don't know if you can tell that in your channel, but we are, and there are kinetic things going on as well. So these are the real things. How far away it will go, I don't know. But anyway, we are already there, and I hope that anybody has started to prepare themselves already long time before this, because if you are new to this information completely, then you have lots of catching up to do. But yeah, some important things. I don't have any kind of list in my head and so on, but basically from my skydiving career and so on, from life experiences, I would say that it's the same concept to everything. To face the real realities of life, whether it's an extreme sport or whatever, peak performance level thing in anything, doing art, singing, dancing, martial arts, all kinds of things, or in a situation of crisis, any kind of crisis. So, of course, to be, where should I start? Mentally strong, and to be mentally strong, you have to be physically strong and healthy. So to know what to do and what not to do to yourself, so that you are not destroying yourself, that you are doing good things to yourself, that you keep your knowledge base up so that you know what's going on, and you have basic knowledge about well, everything. Be a kind of Renaissance man. Uh, so knowledge is power. Then of course practical skills. Have as many good practical skills as possible. That's really good for your brain, and it's good hobby to do, but just to learn all kinds of practical skills. Socialization can be a practical skill too, to those who are more social than me, for example. But to have good social skills, in the crisis situation is absolutely great, and to get along with the people and so on. Emotionally, that all thing to know who you really are, so that you can know the others, you know yourself, and to be at peace with yourself, so that you have self calm to in any situation, and also you can read your compass, so that whatever information comes to you, you don't have to go with it, and you don't have to believe it. You can make up your own mind, and hopefully you have drawn a kind of cosmology for yourself, where you can navigate and where you're comfortable enough in this kind of world, where the reality is changing all the time. All the reality is what reality is, but what they tell about it changes all the time. So interesting times. I don't know if I covered what you asked.
Yeah, I think you said many important things. I wanted to ask you, how are you? Yeah, what is your way of dealing emotionally with everything that you see, what's going on the earth? So, what are you going into this positive, hopeful, way of seeing the things that happen, so that you say, okay, this is just a process and we have to stay strong, but in the end everything will turn to the good? Or you see it open-ended, or how do you perceive it? How do you feel? In which reality are you moving to, so to say?
I'm always in the positive reality because that's my natural inclination with my compass is to try to see positive no matter in how dark situation. And even when all the hope is lost, I just choose to see some positive, But of course, the reality is what reality is. So it can be very, very depressing, and it should be depressing. I mean, if your reality is great and everything is super great and you're living in a fantastic bubble, then you have no reason to be depressed, I'm sure. But for many people, there are many reasons to be depressed, and depression is part of life, because it's part of the awakening process to have a chance to see things how they really are. I mean, of course, nowadays there are lots of escapes for depression and such things, mental illnesses. But you should just face whatever it is, and go on top of that. And to go on top of that, at least for me, has been always well, all kinds of things, but really the best ones are discipline, strong values, your own values, taking good care of your temple, which is your body, and when you do, especially for me at least, I think that huge part of my life journey of the extreme sports have been to be able to, well, have been to face my own fears, and to put myself to really, really, really difficult situations and overcome them time after time after time. And gradually, after so many years and so many um, extreme situations, let's put it that way, uh, you can finally start digging some kind of a real strength, of these things, and to become a strong human being in the way that you understand that you have built within you strength that you didn't know that you have, but you actually have it, and you always have it, but you have to just find it. And when you know that you have it there, it makes the normal life situations much, much, much easier because yeah, obviously the small things don't matter in this kind of context so much.
Yeah, this is very, very important what you said. So I was thinking about summarizing it in cultivation of strength and cultivation of positive altitude, positive direction, and but also discipline, right? You were speaking
Mhm.
about be carry good about your body, and I think this is a topic where we can speak very much about the so-called modern medicine, what they how they try to so-called heal you or heal your body. But going behind the fears, can you te can you tell us how many, do you know how many hours did you spend in the year skydiving, or how many jumps did you have done? Do you know it
Yeah, I
approximately?
made over 5,000 jumps, and of those 77 bays, and that was back in the day when it was still very, very rare. I was the first Finnish official base jumper with the base number and so on. So I was early adopter to all kinds of extreme sports. Obviously, skydiving had been there before, but yeah, I was then the one who brought the wingsuits to not only to Finland but to the whole world. Um, so anyway, your question was about fear.
Yeah, about fear, because in one previous talk we had together privately, we were speaking about these fears that you have to be very courageous, to do all these basic jumps to test also your own created yes, suites, but also to have the courage to do the jump. It's not easy stuff, and then to manage to land, to manage to survive the whole jump, right? And is there some kind of advice that you can give people that they have now fear, that they are now in the fear-based situation, not fear about something, maybe this kind of fear that the global situation will get very dark or this and that. There are many people with very unconcrete fears now. Do you have some strategies or some tips, some advices for people who have problems with overcoming fear?
I do. So I could give you an allegory from real life and how to survive and thrive in extremely hostile environment, in any kind of hostile environment. And that is to be the master of that environment as much as obviously you can. uh, so, but yeah, about the fear. So most of the time, fear, it's some kind of illusion because you're afraid of the things that didn't happen. And those are the kind of things that are deep inside, I believe, of every and each person. And unless you have gone through and faced every single fear, then you cannot be master of the fear. So only way to get over the fear is actually to really face it, in my opinion, and deal with it one way or the other, and then to the next one, and then to the next one, and then to the next one. And at least that's what I've been doing all my life, and I kind of felt that I just have to. So the allegory goes something like this from skydiving world, but a skydiver is not just a person who is going to the plane, and at 1 kilometer height, you jump and open the parachute and you land. But into that whole process, goes incredible amount of things and knowledge and history and background and yourself, and your training and years of all kinds of experience and learning to move your body and so on. But when you go to the skydiving course, you are rookie. You are like a child again. You know nothing about that new environment. You are totally having to trust, the instructors and your training because you know absolutely nothing, and you are really afraid of the so many things because you understand that you don't know, and then there are so many things that you don't know, which is good most of the time because they can be horrifying things. uh, anyway, so then the process goes, and you learn to jump, and then bit by bit your experience level goes so far that you can jump alone, and all the time when you go to higher levels, your knowledge and experience and your wisdom about the whole thing, it grows, and you start to know about how your gear is made. You start to know, how you fly, how the weather works. You start to understand how the light works and what's up there in the sky. You start to even know how the plane works, and maybe you can even start to learn flying. It happens a lot, and you start to know everything, and about your friends and about the parachutes and so on. So when you are in the place where you have basically faced all kinds of fear about the plane crash and about the people who train you, about the people who fly you, about the people you jump with, about yourself because you are not sure of yourself. There are so many different kinds of parts there in that whole, which you don't have control, but you also know very little. But later on, when you know enough about these things and you have practiced yourself and you know that you don't crack under pressure, then in that whole situation, the your fear is gone because you're the master of your own craft. So that is not an easy way for anybody to think about any situation, but that is the only way I see it to master fears fully. Well,
So
fully. I mean, you still get fears, of course, but at least you know best of your ability because the world is a very scary place, and fears always come, but you just have to learn how to control them. And fear is energy as well. So you can get energy from fear. You can your you can activate your brain to work better with fear rather than panic. So you can train these things like muscles.
Thank you very much for sharing this knowledge and experience, Yari. I appreciate that a lot. And I am hearing from you that the the part of overcoming fears is basically also to be willing to face them direct into the eyes, right? Not going away from them. So otherwise, you cannot make a jump if you go if you don't face the fears. But facing the fears, having the courage to face the fears, and then to do it anyway, right?
That
To do the
yeah,
best you can do to
absolutely. That's
inform
right.
yourself, but then to go further, not to stop.
Let me tell you a story from my childhood. I was kind of very yeah. It was dark. I saw lots of monsters, and things like that. And I was very very sick. That's what I remember. I don't remember much of it, and so on. But anyway, that's another other long story, like we all have about the childhood. But anyway, the one thing what I had was that I had a fear of the dark, really, really fear, because I saw monsters there, and I was imagining all kinds of things there, and so on. And then that one night, I was very, very young. I escaped, or I broke out, from my room and opened the apartment building door and went to the woods. It was pitch black, and I just went there with my pajamas and went there completely blind because you can't see nothing. And first, I started to feel the trees and branches and so on, and I started to panic. But then, I just calmed down, and I have no idea how I was able to do that because I was so young. But somehow I just calmed down, and I imagine all the trees and branches were actually my friends. They were almost like alive, and they were my friends, and they were guiding me. That's what I was telling myself. They were guiding me, and suddenly I started to see, a little bit more gray, a little bit more, a little bit more, and finally, I was able to just walk there in the dark, with these trees who were my friends. And okay, I got back completely muddy because I went to the little river there as well, and I was muddy and wet. And my mother was wondering about me in the morning, but yeah, after that, I was never afraid of dark anymore. I went out there and faced it, and I think that story always stayed with me, and it works for anything.
A beautiful story, a really beautiful story. And I think it was a major game changer in your young years that you have faced your fears, because otherwise it will be much more difficult later in life when you want to make a skydiving jump. The fears there are a much higher level, right?
Yeah, yeah, they are super high, and it's another plane of existence in the way. Obviously, not everybody is so aware of these things when they do, but for me, I was always really much thinking about this, and still am, because life can end in mysterious ways in any time, as we know. So, but there, when you are doing these kind of things, and the risks are really really high, you have to be okay with your life so far. Like the India said that now it's a good day to die even. So you have to be at least in a certain place, uh, and at least you have been thinking a lot about, for example, death. And obviously, I have no idea what it is, but somehow you have to be able to live with it. Okay, maybe that's the right way to put it. You have to be able to live with it. The fact that anytime your story will end. And that's just the one particular mindset, I guess.
I think it's very important that we face also the fact that one day we will leave this body, and like we came into this body as a soul, as a consciousness, we experiencing our human existence, and one day we will leave it, and we have to train us to accept also this fact that we will not stay here forever. We have a limited time for this experience, and first of all, of course, using the time properly, we have here, but also overcoming the fear of dying, or overcoming the fear of the fact that we will go one day, because it will happen anyway. If we are fearing or not fearing, it doesn't help. So it doesn't stop the the transition, right? So and better prepare yourself, better have a good philosophical view on the life and on the journey that's going on, than not to be prepared and just have fears, not facing them.
It's interesting you said, what did you say? Did you say out of body experience or what happens after death? You were talking
Yeah,
about something like that.
when we leave the
Like when we
body.
leave our body, yeah, when we leave our body, but we talked about this before. But I told you I have had a couple of out of body experiences, extremely interesting ones, and I won't go into details how it happened at least now. But when you have experiences like that, you totally start seeing the reality from a completely different perspective, which is totally mysterious, of course, because then you don't know what the heck is going on, but you know that there is something else because when you have a real out of body experience, um, you realize that you constructed yourself, and that is interesting. I'm going to leave it there, but that is an interesting concept. We have talked about that before.
Yeah, I have another. As you was speaking, in my mind came now this allegory, this comparison, like when you are soul or when you're consciousness and you go into a body to have an experience and then leave the body after you finish the experience, it is some way the same like you as a human goes into the bird skydiving wingsuit, have the experience, you're in the suite, and then when the experience over, you just go out of the wingsuit, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
life is going on further with another strange things you experiencing the other levels, right? It's just coming in, collect some experience, and then go further, right?
Yeah, who knows how it goes, but I do have like I said, I'm a positivist, and anyway, this whole simulation feels so strange that yeah, it probably at least it's good to try to live, in the way that it helps in this life if you live in the way that it matters how you live, the way you transist to the other world. If you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. So, like in the Tibetan Book of Death, they speak a lot about preparing yourself consciously about that and not fearing that, but make some preparations, not just preparations like who should be on my dead party when they make your grave and you're under the earth, who should be invited, who not, and what they're for eating should be, but prepare yourself mentally, prepare also your soul, prepare your consciousness, prepare yourself for the next journey, right? When you
Exactly.
if you never was in Africa or in Asia, then prepare yourself, buy some books, read about what you have to expect, so prepare yourself mentally, physically, and then you will have the experience. And the most of the people on this planet are living without any preparation at all, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's unfortunately the state of the things. And like in the beginning, I was saying that because of the historical things and so on, and maybe it's always been like this, but people are not really aware of the most things what's really going on, and so it's kind of like an insane society. And it would be important to prepare yourself so that you are not one of the insane, in the society.
It is like actually insane club, like a mental hospital where the normal people thinks that they're healthy and the insane ones are called insane because they start questioning the system or they start realizing that you're in a madhouse, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No,
And then you're
it's a
called a
very,
conspiracy theorist.
after my first out of body experience and so on, because and they also changed the worldview quite a bit, by the way, and you just realize certain things after these things. And so you kind of, it's like a waking up to the madhouse, like you just explained. It's exactly like that. You're waking up to the reality. You realize that you have been asleep. You have been seeing the world, with your child's eyes, and your parents' eyes and whoever's eyes, but not through your own eyes. And you realize that you are in this mad world. And yeah, it's a quite an interesting experience. Everybody should have it.
I think we are living in very challenging times on this planet, in this realm. Very dynamic times, very dynamic times, and also I think also a time where there is the possibility of huge growth in spiritual way, growth in psychological way. There is a huge space of transformation, nowadays with YouTube, with internet, with books, with everything. You can gain a lot of knowledge, and yeah, and also like the way that you are now speaking to the Bulgarian community, and maybe somebody will check also your information, which are you spreading. I know you are working on some project of making a book, right? One day there will be a book from you.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm very interested to have it in my hands when it's finished. So I think yeah, a lot of knowledge is shared, a lot of possibilities are there, and I think everybody who is awakened enough to see that the things are not like we have been told that they are, have now a huge possibility to face fears, to go through the rabbit hole with a positive mindset, and then we will see where the adventure goes on. Oh, where's the direction?
Hmm. Hmm. And venture goes on, that's for sure. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for, because in my positive timeline, at least, where there will be new tech, and new kind of ideas about the world. And of course, there will be more land to explore. So I always had this kind of exploring spirit in me. I wanted to go to places where I haven't been before. I've lived 27 years outside my homeland and still living, and I always feel restless about go to see other places. And I just can't wait for the other days and years of exploration, when we can go to the other continents. That's gonna be great.
This will be great, and I think a huge a huge new experiences and surprises are waiting for us. A huge one. I think in the coming years, Yari, you will have experiencing that you are waiting for since long time. I'm sure
Yes.
will be
Yeah,
not
I think so
long
too.
waiting anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dear Yari, I think we are off of the time. I think this is our first conversation from my YouTube channel, and I thank you for your time. I thank you for your shared knowledge, your shared wisdom, your humor, and yeah, that we were here with us. And thank you very much. And I hope we can one day make a part two of our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, and yeah, for your audience as well. I wish you all very, very best. If you want to know more about like who you were just listening to, you can go to my website, which is www.bird-man.com. And there is a little bit of the story there, and so on. And anyway, yeah, I wish you good midsummer weekend. It's gonna be a midsummer now, by the way. So there are lots of incredible strength coming from the earth, as we Nordic people here believe, and lots of transformational energies out there. So if you take it in the good way, you know, good magic can happen. And I hope lots of good magic to everybody at this midsummer. It's a huge festival here, so I'm really looking forward to that, and I wish you guys the same.
Thank you very much, Jari, and of course the links will be in the description under the video. So everybody who wants to know more about you and your work, feel free to visit Jari's website. Thank you very much again. Until the next time, Jari.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
See you.